Hi, these slides are from a presentation that I gave to the Women Presidents Organization's annual conference in San Diego in April 2009. Let me start by saying that most consumers do not understand the word sustainable. In a series of in-depth interviews last year in that greenest of cities, Portland, Oregon, none of the upscale women interviewed had a definition for sustainable. So I'm going to give you my version of sustainable packaging. The next frontier in sustainable packaging is one that engages the consumer. There's been a lot of work that's been done in packaging sustainability and intermediate packaging, and this is something that Walmart has actually been very engaged in, and that is to reduce the level of intermediate packaging, which sort of ends at the store or even at the warehouse level, and thereby reduce some of the transportation costs associated with it, as well as some of the landfill costs associated with it. Here I'm talking about where products go home to the consumer and how the consumer can ultimately be engaged in making packaging more sustainable. Only one of the three packages that I'm going to show you was actually packaged using my employer Package Machinery, using their machines. The package shown here is a 2002 project of Top Flight Callaway. This particular package is a bundle wrap of sleeves of golf balls, as you can sort of see the metamorphosis of the sleeves of golf balls into the 18-pack up to the left. It replaced a shrink wrap box which held sleeves of the same sleeves of golf balls that you see to the left. This not only in this replacement not only shrunk the total size of the package and its weight, but it reduced the energy cost because this form of wrap used less energy than a shrink wrap process. Doing all of this thereby reduced Top Flight's transportation costs because you no longer had a box involved in. So the carton was smaller, everything got smaller. So they could either ship more or they would pay less to ship what they had. Top Flight, according to what we were told, had a 3-month payback on this equipment by eliminating the box, the shrink, and their savings were achieved in the boxes, the weight, the energy consumption, and the transportation. They were actually got some flexibility out of the machine because they were wrapping anywhere from 3 to 6 sleeves of golf balls. I think the best part of all of this is that they actually lost no advertising space because the entire package was available for advertising, as you can see. The long seam is actually there on the right-hand side on the back of the package, but it certainly does nothing to inhibit the viewability of the package. Pictured here is something that you could only buy in the UK. It's Marks and Spencer's house brand of Swiss chocolate, which is what you're seeing at the top. At the bottom, what you're seeing is a very small piece of the back side of their package. It's actually smaller than the barcode, and I've blown it up so that it would be readable here. Marks and Spencer has been very engaged in something that they call Plan A, because there is no Plan B, according to them. And Plan A is to improve the environmental impact of their products and at the same time being sustainable, to become more efficient at what they do. So, for example, the film that's used to wrap these boxes is home compostable. And by that I mean that if you take it and throw it in your garden, it will have vanished into the soil inside of 3 weeks. The FSC label means Forestry Sustainable Council, which indicates that this box was made from wood from a sustainable forest. Marks & Spencer has also embraced the UK Carbon Institute's measurement tool for looking at the carbon footprint of a product from raw material through processing and packaging to the consumer and then ultimately to its disposal. You can tell that Marks & Spencer anticipates sourcing some of their other packaging materials from recyclable material in the future. In other words, they're hoping that they will be able to find material that is reusable in some fashion for the tray and the cushion pad here. One of the tools to getting at this is something called a life cycle analysis, which looks at the sourcing of raw materials and the processing and the delivery costs of a specific product processed at a specific plant. And then it looks at the cost of delivery to the end user and the cost of disposal of what's left over. While this is done with an impact on the environment, looking at the impact on the environment, it's also designed to say how can the process become more efficient. The Carbon Institute in the UK has created a numerical system that provides a single number for consumers to compare the carbon footprint of products, of specific products. A corollary for those of us in the equipment industry is looking at the total cost of ownership. In other words, the cost of a piece of machinery is not simply the capital cost of an item, but the cost to run it, maintain it, and the material required to do the job. As an example, if you bought a printer, your goal in using the printer is to convey information to someone else. You might look at the total cost to include the upfront cost of the machine, but also the ink and the paper that runs through it, as well as the energy to run it. That would be total cost of ownership. If you were going to look at it from a life cycle analysis point of view, you might consider alternative processes to get the job done, such as email or web-based marketing. Or you might say, rather than an inkjet printer, I'm going to use a laser printer because I use less ink and so I reduce the environmental impact. Or you might say, I want to use soy-based ink or low VOC ink. That would be really looking at purchase from a life cycle analysis. Pictured here is a new product from Nestle that's not available in the U.S. You're going to have to take a plane to Europe in order to see it. The back of the package, as you can see, is devoted to a fun and engaging way of telling the consumer what to do with the packaging, down to the individual candies that you can sort of see on the front of the package that are wrapped in recyclable foil and compostable film. Now, you may not be a buyer of machinery, but you're certainly a consumer of products. As part of your personal sustainable movement, you should look to see if the product has a carbon footprint, which means the manufacturer is starting to measure its environmental impact. You should look to see if there's guidance on what to do with the packaging, as you can see Nestle is providing here and Marks & Spencer provided on the previous page. For example, Pepsi's Tropicana 64-ounce container of pure premium orange juice is the first consumer product in North America to receive Carbon Trust certification. Working together with the Columbia Earth Institute, Pepsi has calculated the life cycle carbon footprint of the 64-ounce container. This number gives Pepsi a verifiable benchmark against which the company can measure greenhouse gas reduction progress going forward, and it also tells you something about Pepsi's commitment. Here are some websites that I view as my sustainable packaging Bible. I'm especially fond of Green Blue, largely because its life cycle analysis and the tools that it provides should form the basis of any decision about how to be sustainable in your business or with your consumers. What we tell our customers is that flexibility and the ability to adapt to process changes as they become available is key to success right now, because there are a lot of moving parts. But looking at these websites will help you to become knowledgeable and keep you up to date on what are state-of-the-art sustainable processes. I'm hoping that all of this has made you better equipped to be a sustainable consumer. And if you're buying equipment, it's helped you to understand the total cost of ownership and to think about what your options are. You should feel free to contact me with any questions that you have. And I've provided you with some additional websites, my company, some interesting information if you're curious about wrapping and what are your options, and also some stuff about sustainability overall. Thank you very much.